Before Rome was an empire, before it was even a city, there was only silence here. 7 hills rose from the marshy banks of the Tiber River, home to shepherds and flocks. This was a place of mud and reeds, where wolves howled beneath an ancient Italian sky. No one could have imagined what would rise from this humble ground in the centuries ahead. This earth would birth the greatest empire the world had ever seen, or would see again. Stay with us as we journey through 3,000 years in just 12 unforgettable minutes. This is the entire history of Rome. One eternal city, one extraordinary story. The legend begins in 753 BC, on a spring morning that would echo through all of eternity. 2 brothers, abandoned as infants, were raised by a she-wolf on the Palatine Hill slopes. Romulus and Remus would found a city on these 7 hills, but only one could rule it. In a rage over a boundary dispute, Romulus killed his brother with his own bare hands. The city that bears his name started as a collection of wooden huts and muddy dirt paths. But Rome was hungry for power and people, so Romulus opened the gates to the outcasts, exiles, criminals, and runaway slaves. Rome welcomed the unwanted and made them strong. Within a single generation, the city had doubled in size and ambition beyond imagination. For 240 years, 7 kings ruled Rome in succession with varying wisdom. The city grew rapidly as stone replaced wood and temples rose to Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. But the last king, Tarquin the Proud, was a tyrant who thought himself utterly untouchable. In 509 BC, the Romans had enough of tyranny and drove him out at sword point forever. They swore a sacred oath never to bow to a king again as long as Rome should stand. The Republic was born that day, and power would belong to the Senate and the people. This system of shared governance would last for 5 centuries and conquer the known world. Rome began its conquest with Italy itself, one bloody and brutal campaign at a time. City by city, tribe by tribe, they expanded their territory with ruthless Roman efficiency. By 270 BC, all of Italy from the Po Valley to the Boot's Toe belonged to mighty Rome. But across the Mediterranean, a rival watched with growing concern and mounting jealousy. Carthage, the great merchant empire of North Africa, controlled the seas, Sicily, and Spain. These 2 powers could not share the world, and both knew war was coming inevitably. The Punic Wars began in 264 BC and would test Rome's survival like nothing before. In 218 BC, Carthage's greatest general decided to cross what everyone called the impossible. Hannibal led 40,000 soldiers and 37 war elephants over the frozen Alps. He crushed Roman army after Roman army, killing over 50,000 soldiers at Cannae alone. For 16 long years, Hannibal ravaged the Italian countryside while Rome watched helplessly. But Rome absolutely refused to die, no matter how close defeat came to their gates. They rebuilt their legions, adapted their tactics, and learned hard lessons from bitter defeat. A new general rose from the ashes, young Scipio Africanus, brilliant and unafraid. He took the war to Carthage's doorstep and burned their fields black under African sun. In 146 BC, after the brutal Third Punic War, Carthage was erased from the earth. Rome stood alone as master of the Mediterranean, the most powerful state on earth. With Carthage destroyed, nothing could stop Rome's expansion across 3 vast continents. Legions marched east into Greece, north into Gaul, south into Egypt and North Africa. Roman roads stretched over 10,000 miles from foggy Britain to the deserts of Mesopotamia. Roman law governed 50 million people who spoke 100 different languages and dialects. But back in Rome itself, the Republic was tearing apart from within like rotting wood. Generals commanded armies that were more loyal to them than to the state or Senate. Civil wars erupted between rival factions, and blood ran in the forum's ancient stones. In 49 BC, a general named Julius Caesar stood at the Rubicon River with his legions. Roman law forbade any general from crossing that river with an army under any circumstances. It was an act of treason that meant civil war, and Caesar knew it better than anyone. He crushed his rivals in Spain, Greece, Egypt, and Africa with devastating efficiency and speed. He became dictator of Rome, reformed the calendar, and expanded citizenship to provincials abroad. The Senate feared his power and his ambition to rule Rome like a king forever. On the Ides of March, 44 BC, they surrounded him in Pompey's theater with daggers. 23 stab wounds ended the life of Rome's greatest general in a pool of blood. But Caesar's brutal assassination did not save the Republic from its inevitable fate at all. His adopted son Octavian hunted down the assassins one by one without mercy or hesitation. He defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra at the naval battle of Actium in 31 BC. In 27 BC, he appeared before the Senate and accepted a new sacred name, Augustus. He was no longer just a mortal man, but the revered one, the first emperor. The Republic was dead after 5 long centuries of shared power and senatorial debates. The empire had begun, and Rome entered its golden age under the famous Pax Romana. Under Augustus and his successors, Rome became the undisputed center of the entire world. The city swelled to over 1 million inhabitants, the largest urban center anywhere on Earth. 11 massive aqueducts brought fresh mountain water from 40 miles away every single day. The Colosseum held 50,000 spectators who watched gladiators fight to the bloody death. Roman citizenship meant privilege, protection, and pride, no matter where in the empire born. Trade routes connected 3 continents in an economic web that enriched everyone involved. Silk from distant China, spices from India, grain from Egypt, gold from Africa, tin from Britain. All roads led to Rome, and Rome led the entire world into an age of prosperity. But even at its absolute height, cracks appeared in the empire's foundation below the surface. Germanic tribes pressed against the northern borders with increasing force and determination daily. In 64 AD, fire consumed 2/3 of the city in a blaze that burned for 6 days. Emperor Nero blamed the Christians, a small persecuted sect worshipping a crucified Jewish preacher. The Romans fed them to lions in the arena for entertainment and threw them to the crowds. But the Christian faith would not die no matter how much Rome tried to stamp it out. It spread through the empire like wildfire, from slave to soldier to senator across continents. And 3 centuries later, it would completely transform Rome forever in ways unimaginable. The 3rd century brought crisis that nearly ended the empire in chaos and complete collapse. Emperors rose and fell like leaves in autumn storms, barely ruling before their deaths. Plague swept through the crowded cities, killing millions and emptying entire Roman provinces. In 284 AD, a soldier named Diocletian seized power and made one radical decision. He split the vast empire in 2, east and west, each with its own separate emperor. Rome was no longer the center of the world it had created over 8 long centuries. In 313 AD, Emperor Constantine did something unthinkable that shocked the entire pagan world. He legalized Christianity, the faith Rome had spent 3 centuries trying completely to destroy. Then he moved the capital east to a Greek city he renamed Constantinople after himself. Rome, the Eternal City, was abandoned by its own emperor for a new capital in the east. In 410 AD, Visigoths led by Alaric sacked Rome for the first time in 800 years. The Eternal City could bleed, and the city that conquered the world had itself been conquered. In 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire fell with barely a whisper from anyone left alive. A Germanic warlord named Odoacer deposed the last emperor, a teenage boy named Romulus Augustulus. The name was cruelly ironic. The first king and the first emperor both echoed in the last. The aqueducts cracked and ran dry, with weeds growing through the ancient stone channels. For centuries after, Rome became a ghost town of crumbling marble and forgotten glories. But the city refused to disappear completely from the map, or from human memory and imagination. The Bishop of Rome became the Pope, and Rome rose again as the center of Christendom. Through the Middle Ages, Rome survived on faith, memory, and the ruins of past greatness. Pilgrims came from across Europe to see where Peter and Paul had died as Christian martyrs. Renaissance popes rebuilt the city in spectacular style with money, ambition, and artistic vision. Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel ceiling with breathtaking scenes of biblical creation. Rome became a political capital again in 1870, when Italy finally unified as a nation-state. Mussolini tried to revive the imperial dream with his fascist rhetoric and massive armies, But he brought only war, occupation, and ruin to the Eternal City during World War II. The Allies liberated Rome in June 1944, and the city began its modern rebirth from ashes. Today, Rome is home to nearly 3 million people from every single corner of the globe. Ancient ruins stand beside modern cafes where tourists sip espresso under the Roman sun. The Colosseum still draws 6 million visitors every year to imagine the roar of ancient crowds. But those columns still cast long shadows across the stones in the afternoon Roman light. And those shadows still stretch across the Western world in laws, language, and government. Rome fell 15 centuries ago, but it never truly died in spirit or in influence. Rome has survived more than any city should ever have to endure in 3,000 years. Kings and emperors, fire and plague, barbarians and time itself have all tried to destroy it. It has been conquered, abandoned, rebuilt, and reborn more times than any city in history. Messy, crowded, eternal, defiant, and still very much alive after 3 millennia. Like and subscribe, because the next chapter of history begins right now.